Every town has its secrets. But some stories refuse to stay buried. Claire Holloway was only 17 when she vanished one fall night. A young woman swallowed by shadows. What began as a person's case soon unraveled into something darker, a story of secrets, unanswered questions that shook an entire community. Tonight, we revisit the Holloway Mysteries, the disappearance that started it all, and the hidden truths uncovered in the aftermath. 2 stories. One haunting name, Holloway. Claire's last night, her close circle, the frantic search, the suspects, red herrings, and the unanswered legacy. A follow-up documentary episode uncovering hidden journals, conflicting witness statements, theories of cover-ups, strange town history. Family members speak out, new suspects come forward, but the truth remains clouded. It was October in Ashford, a small New England town where secrets rarely stayed hidden for long. But Claire's secret, the one that swallowed her whole, was never found. Tonight we reopen the Holloway case, not as police officers, not as jurors, but as storytellers. To retrace her final steps, follow the whispers, and ask what happened to Claire Holloway. This story moves fast. Blink and you'll miss the truth. So hit subscribe now, tap the bell, and settle in. Because once you start, you won't be able to stop. And as you watch, leave your theories in the comments. Was this tragedy random, or was it inevitable? Warning, this episode may contain explicit content including crime scene photos and footage. Viewers' discretion is advised. The last night. It began as an ordinary evening. Claire had dinner with her parents. Roast chicken, green beans, mashed potatoes. Her mother later recalled Claire only picked at her food. She seemed distracted, restless. Around 8:30 p.m., she left the house. She told her parents she was going to meet her best friend Lily at the diner. She never arrived. Neighbors remembered seeing Claire walking down Maple Street. She wore a red sweater, blue jeans, and sneakers. She carried her backpack, though she had no school the next day. That was the last confirmed sighting. Her parents expected her home by 10. By midnight, panic replaced patience. At 1 a.m., they called the police, and by sunrise, Ashford was already a town transformed. The search hunts of volunteers scoured the woods, the river, and the cornfields. Police dogs traced Claire's scent to a small footbridge and then lost it for weeks. Her face stared back from every pole and shop window. Blonde hair, bright eyes, a girl frozen in the moment of her disappearance. The town's library hosted volunteers who mapped search grids. Farmers opened their barns, fearing what or who might be found inside. But not a single item belonging to Claire was discovered. No shoe, no hair clip, not even a discarded receipt. It was as though she had walked into the night and dissolved into it. Suspects and shadows. Police turned first to the people closest to her. Her best friend, Lily, admitted the two had fought earlier that afternoon. Over what, Lily would not say. Years later, she confessed it was about Ethan, Claire's on-again, off-again boyfriend. Ethan was known for his temper. Neighbors reported seeing his truck parked down the block near the Holloway home the night Claire disappeared. When questioned, Ethan claimed he'd been at home, but his alibi was shaky. Then came another figure, a man Claire's classmates called the Watcher, a tall man in a hoodie seen loitering near the school gates. Claire herself wrote in her diary, "I feel watched. There's someone who doesn't want me to leave." Was it paranoia or prophecy? Rumors and dead ends. With no evidence, theories multiplied. Some said Claire ran away, that she wanted out of Ashford, out of its narrow streets and small expectations. But she left behind her purse, her ID, and her savings, less than $50. Others believed Ethan had lost his temper that night. Still others whispered about the stranger in the woods, a drifter spotted sleeping rough near the highway. And then came the carnival. It had passed through Ashford the week before Claire vanished. Rumors spread about workers with criminal pasts, about a girl being lured into a van. Nothing was proven. Every new theory was a doorway that led to a wall. And every wall left the Holloway family more broken. Years of silence, months turned into years. By 2005, the search for Claire had grown cold. A hunter discovered a piece of fabric deep in the woods. Red, torn, weathered by rain. It looked like Claire's sweater. Tests were inconclusive. Anonymous calls came in claiming to know what happened. Some were cruel hoaxes, others desperate pleas for attention. Each raised hope, then crushed it. Claire's parents lit a candle in their window every night. A signal, they said, for their daughter to find her way home. In time, the case became a ghost story. Children whispered about seeing Claire's reflection in windows, about hearing her voice in the trees. In Ashford, the girl who disappeared became both legend and wound. Legacy of a vanishing today, 2 decades later, Claire's disappearance remains unsolved. Her parents are older now, but they still keep her bedroom untouched. They still light that candle. They still wait. For some, Claire is the cautionary tale of a girl too trusting, too free in a world that can be cruel. For others, she is proof that evil can walk quietly in familiar shoes. No matter what theory you believe, runaway, revenge, or stranger, one fact remains. Claire Holloway left her home one October night and never came back. And until her story is finished, Ashford will always be haunted. Claire's case is still open. Police say they welcome new tips. If you know something, even if it seems small, maybe you hold the missing piece. Or maybe, like so many who came before, you'll find that this mystery refuses to give up its truth. Because in Ashford, the question still lingers, whispered at candlelit vigils, spoken on dark walks home. What happened to Claire Holloway? Let's take a dive into secrets in the Holloway case, starting with the town of whispers. The town of Ashford, Pennsylvania, was supposed to heal after Claire Holloway vanished. A year had passed since the night she walked out of her family's Victorian home and into nothingness. Yet healing never came. Instead, grief calcified into something darker, whispers. Small towns thrive on routine. The dinner opens at 6. Church bells toll on Sundays. The same faces pass by on Main Street. But when one of their own disappears, especially someone like Claire, beautiful, bright, beloved, routine warps into suspicion. Everyone becomes a suspect. Every smile hides a secret. For months, Ashford's citizens kept their heads down, waiting for the police to solve the case. But as the months dragged on and no body, no clues, no arrests surfaced, the vacuum filled with stories. Some whispered that Claire ran away, tired of the small-town cage. Others murmured about arguments between Claire and her parents, especially her mother, whose stern nature often clashed with her daughter's free spirit. Then came darker whispers. Secrets. That Claire might have been pregnant, that she'd been seen meeting a man no one recognized, that her disappearance was less about chance and more about a carefully buried truth. The Holloway home itself became the center of fascination. Behind its lace curtains and manicured hedges, what really happened between those walls? To the outside world, the Holloways were pillars of Ashford. James Holloway, a respected banker, Margaret Holloway, active in the church and charity work, and Claire, their golden child. But as neighbors confided in hushed tones to anyone who would listen, cracks had long spiderwebbed beneath the surface. One neighbor recalled hearing shouting the week Claire vanished. Another swore she saw Claire storming out of the house, tears streaking her face, just days before. The Holloways denied it all. Yet the town began to wonder, was Ashford's perfect family hiding something unbearable? The police, overwhelmed by dead ends, eventually began revisiting the family too. Detectives scoured Claire's room again. That's when they uncovered something new. A small, leather-bound diary hidden in the bottom drawer of her desk. Its entries were scattered, unfinished but haunting. In shaky penmanship, Claire wrote about feeling watched, about someone she couldn't talk to, and about being afraid of hurting them. Who was she referring to? The discovery of the diary reignited the case, and in the absence of clarity, Ashford's whispers turned into roaring speculation. The diary and the double life. The diary was Claire Holloway's voice beyond the grave, or at least beyond her disappearance, but what it revealed raised more questions than answers. The first entries were typical of a teenager, fragments about friends, frustrations with homework, longing for escape. But as the weeks crept closer to her disappearance, the tone darkened. She wrote about her parents fighting behind closed doors, about her father being gone too often, about her mother's rules that suffocate. She mentioned her boyfriend, Ethan, only sparingly, and when she did, her words were clipped, almost dismissive. Then came the line that rattled investigators. If they knew who I was with, everything would fall apart. Who was she with? Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said Claire had fallen for a teacher, though no one could agree on which. Others insisted it was a married man from town. Still others clung to the idea of a stranger, someone Claire had met in secret, possibly online. And then came the entry about a pregnancy scare. The single line was written in panicked ink. "Missed again. I can't let them find out. He said it'll be okay, but what if he's wrong?" The Holloways flatly denied it all. Margaret, Claire's mother, claimed her daughter would never have betrayed her upbringing. James, her father, said the diary was teenage melodrama, nothing more. But the townsfolk weren't so quick to dismiss it. In fact, they saw it as validation of what they had suspected all along, that the Holloway's perfect image was a facade. And then another bombshell dropped. A former classmate, Melissa Crane, stepped forward. She claimed she'd seen Claire meeting a man late at night at the park on multiple occasions. Not Ethan, someone older. Melissa described him as tall, with dark hair, wearing a suit. When asked why she hadn't told police sooner, Melissa shrugged. No one believed kids back then. And honestly, I was scared. Her testimony added fuel to the growing theory that Claire was entangled in a double life, one her family desperately wanted to conceal. The idea of a secret romance wasn't far-fetched. Across the country, countless cases of missing young women revealed hidden relationships, affairs that family and friends only discovered after tragedy struck. But in Ashford, this theory cracked the illusion of safety wide open. If Claire had indeed been involved with an older man, who was he? And why hadn't he come forward? Investigators tried to retrace Claire's steps. Phone records were combed through, letters, emails, journals. Nothing concrete emerged. Yet whispers continued to spread, and among them a chilling possibility began to take root. What if Claire hadn't left Ashford at all? What if someone close to her had silenced her to protect a secret too dangerous to reveal? Suspects in the shadows. The diary had cracked open possibilities investigators could no longer ignore. But the more they searched, the more the shadows of Ashford seemed to multiply. The first obvious suspect was Ethan Green, Claire's longtime boyfriend. On paper, Ethan was the perfect match. Star athlete, polite, from a respected family. He and Claire had been together for nearly 2 years. But in the months leading up to her disappearance, friends described their relationship as strained. Arguments were overheard in school hallways. Claire, once inseparable from Ethan, was suddenly evasive, distant. When questioned, Ethan insisted he had nothing to hide. He told detectives they'd argued the night before Claire vanished, about college, about her desire to leave Ashford. But he swore he hadn't seen her since. He looked the part of the grieving boyfriend, sleepless eyes, trembling hands. And yet the diary made investigators reconsider. Could Ethan have discovered her double life? Could jealousy have turned violent? Then there was James Holloway, Claire's father. He was well-liked, but his work kept him away for long stretches. Some began to speculate, what if James had secrets of his own, secrets his daughter had stumbled upon? Investigators probed his alibis, traced his banking connections, even whispered about embezzlement rumors. Nothing stuck, but suspicion lingered like a stubborn stain. And Margaret Holloway, Claire's mother, was perhaps the most scrutinized of all. Margaret projected composure during interviews, her voice steady, her posture rigid. But beneath the surface, cracks showed. Former friends described her as controlling, quick to anger, especially with Claire. One neighbor claimed Margaret and Claire fought bitterly the week she disappeared, shouting so loudly it could be heard from the street. When detectives pressed Margaret, she dismissed it as ordinary teenage rebellion. Yet her icy demeanor only fueled speculation. Was Margaret desperate to maintain the family's image at all costs? Beyond the Holloways, new names emerged. A local teacher, Mr. Jonathan Pierce, became a figure of rumor. Middle-aged, unmarried, often seen lingering around students after class, he fit the silhouette Melissa Crane had described, tall, dark-haired, well-dressed. He denied everything, but whispers followed him nonetheless. And then there was the unsettling mention of an outsider. Several townspeople reported seeing a black sedan parked near the Holloway home in the weeks before Claire's disappearance. The driver was never identified. Some believed he was connected to Claire's secret life. Others speculated he was a figment of frightened imaginations, a projection of their guilt and paranoia. Detectives chased each lead, only to hit walls of half-truths and denials. Ashford was a town wrapped in silence. A silence that felt less like ignorance and more like complicity. As one investigator later said, it wasn't just about finding out who took Claire, it was about tearing away at a whole town's reluctance to tell the truth. The investigation took a dramatic turn when Claire's best friend, Emily Jacobs, came forward with something she had been too afraid to reveal. Emily claimed that weeks before her disappearance, Claire had confided in her. She'd admitted to seeing someone new, someone older. Claire never gave a name, only that, if people found out, it would ruin lives. Emily had also seen something that haunted her, a gold watch, expensive and engraved, hidden in Claire's school bag. When she asked about it, Claire brushed her off, saying only, "It's his. He gave it to me to remember him." The revelation sent investigators scrambling. A gold watch wasn't the kind of gift a teenage boyfriend could afford. It pointed toward someone with wealth, power, influence, someone who had reason to stay hidden. But then came the reversal. Weeks later, a hiker discovered a charred piece of jewelry in the woods just outside Ashford. It was a watch, gold, engraved. The engraving was badly damaged, but one letter was still visible, J. Speculation exploded. Was this James Holloway's watch? Was it proof that Claire's father had been more entangled than anyone dared believe? Or was it a red herring meant to throw suspicion in his direction? The discovery fractured the community. Some swore it proved the Holloway's guilt. Others accused investigators of chasing shadows instead of focusing on outsiders. The press descended, amplifying every rumor. Headlines screamed, "Did Claire know too much?" and Ashford's secrets exposed. Meanwhile, the Holloway's carefully constructed reputation began to crumble. James faced questions at work, his once sterling image tainted. Margaret withdrew from public life, refusing interviews. Their home, once a symbol of pride, became a symbol of suspicion. People slowed their cars to gawk at the curtains as though expecting to see guilt staring back. And yet, the diary and the watch were still only fragments. There was no body, no confession, no proof beyond speculation. Every step forward seemed to dissolve into mist. One detective summed it up grimly. The closer we got to the truth, the more it slipped away. Everyone had a secret. Everyone had a motive. But no one had answers. Theories that refused to die. With the watch discovery shaking Ashford, the Holloway case entered a new phase. Theories spun faster than the evidence could keep up. Theory 1, the family cover-up. Some investigators believed Claire's disappearance was the result of a family conflict turned deadly. Perhaps she discovered something about her parents, financial improprieties, or her father's rumored affair, and threatened exposure. In this theory, her death wasn't premeditated, but a heated argument spiraling into tragedy. The watch found burned in the woods was seen as proof, a panicked attempt to destroy evidence. But there was a problem. No forensic evidence tied the Holloways to the watch. And despite rumors of family tension, there was no record of abuse, no signs of long-standing violence in the home. Critics of the theory argued that suspicion alone couldn't erase the love James and Margaret showed for their daughter. Theory 2, the older man. Emily Jacobs' testimony carried weight. Claire was meeting someone older, someone dangerous. Could this mystery man be Mr. Jonathan Pierce, the teacher whose reputation already invited whispers? The diary entries matched the silhouette Emily described, well-dressed, attentive, manipulative. But Pierce denied everything. His alibi, while thin, wasn't disproven. And crucially, investigators couldn't tie the gold watch to him. Still, in the court of public opinion, he became Ashford's pariah. Parents pulled their children from his classes, neighbors crossed the street to avoid him. His life was ruined long before guilt was ever established. Theory 3, the outsider. The black sedan. It came up again and again. Multiple townsfolk described it always parked just out of sight, as if watching. Some claimed they saw Claire approach it late at night. Others insisted it was tied to a traveling businessman who passed through town during that summer. This theory suggested Claire was lured into something larger, trafficking, perhaps, or a life beyond Ashford she thought she could control but couldn't. The burned watch in this version was a symbol of silencing, a warning to others who might talk. The problem: no record of the car, no license plate, no proof of its existence beyond gossip. Theories piled up, but the case seemed cursed to remain unsolved. And yet, something about Claire's story refused to fade. Theories became folklore. At slumber parties, teens whispered about seeing her reflection in mirrors. Hikers swore they heard her voice in the woods. The Holloway case was no longer just an investigation. It was becoming a haunting. Legacy of the lost years passed. Leads dried up. Detectives retired. The Holloway file grew thick with dead ends and dust. But Claire's absence never left Ashford. The Holloway home stands to this day, shuttered and silent. Neighbors report strange occurrences, lights flickering in rooms that should be empty, the faint sound of a piano, Claire's instrument, drifting through the night. Rational minds dismiss it as grief projected into superstition. But for others, it is proof. Claire never truly left. Her parents' lives unraveled. James lost his job. Margaret became a recluse. Their marriage fractured under the weight of suspicion and sorrow. To this day, they maintain their innocence and their conviction that someone outside the family took Claire from them. Ethan Green left Ashford after graduation, unable to live under the cloud of doubt. Rumors follow him still. Did he know more than he ever admitted? Or was he another casualty of guilt by association? Emily Jacobs became the reluctant steward of Claire's memory. She still speaks of her friend in interviews, her voice trembling with guilt that she didn't come forward sooner. She has dedicated her life to advocacy for missing persons, telling Claire's story to prevent others from vanishing into silence. But perhaps the most haunting legacy is the unanswered question, what happened to Claire Holloway? Detectives admit the truth may never be known. The burned watch, the diary, the black sedan, each clue offers a glimpse, but never the full picture. Like pieces of a puzzle deliberately scattered, the Holloway case resists completion. And so, the town of Ashford lives with its ghost. A girl on the cusp of adulthood, swallowed by secrets too dark to surface. A family destroyed, a community scarred. In the end, Claire's story is more than a mystery. It is a reminder of how quickly a life can vanish, how easily truth can be buried beneath silence, and how some questions may remain forever unanswered. She should have been more than a headline, Emily once said. Claire should have had a future. But now, all we have is her shadow. Claire Holloway's name has become more than a mystery. It has become a cautionary tale. For some, she is a symbol of innocence lost. For others, she is a haunting reminder of the truths we never find. With every secret uncovered, another shadow appears. Was Claire taken by someone she trusted? Or was she a victim of something much larger, something the town itself still hides? In the end, all we know for certain is this: the Holloway case is far from over. What do you believe? If this story left you with questions, you're not alone. Subscribe now for crime documentaries that dig into chilling cases you'll never forget. Like if you want more long-form crime storytelling, and leave your theories in the comments. Who do you think holds the key to Claire's disappearance? The mystery lives on with you. Disclaimer: this documentary is created for entertainment purposes, inspired by true crime formats, and does not claim to present factual evidence. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, or events or locations is purely coincidental.